Welcome to the stream, everybody, and love to introduce you to Blair Bathory, writer, director, filmmaker, part-time dark tourist. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
So, what do you got? What do you got going on for the people at home who don't know you by reputation? Tell them where they can find you.
You can literally find me on any social media app, website. I'm pretty much everywhere on the internet except OnlyFans at this point. So, just Blair Bathory on all socials. Clayton said I'm a filmmaker that is hyper-focused in horror genre. I've been in the industry for 12 years. A lot of people know me from Fear Haus, where I hosted an anthology series of short horror films from all over the world. I've kind of put that on the back burner for a little while. Unfortunately, just that's the course I'm taking is to focus more on my own work. And since January, I've just been pitching my little heart out, and I've got a lot of irons in the fire and a lot of projects coming in hot. So exciting.
God, Very cool. If that doesn't feel relevant, good Lord.
Well, that's what you got to do in this industry, you know. Just keep spinning plates.
Yeah. If it's not pitching yourself on any of the various social medias, it is, as you said, pitching yourself on OnlyFans. So my OnlyFans launches next week. That's not accurate, but you know, why not?
I would have subscribed.
Oh, I appreciate that. Who the hell was I talking to the other day about that? And they're like, "Man, you got to get that set up." No, I'm not getting that set up. In any case, so you said and I don't know if you can talk about these or not right now, but what are your current projects you're pitching out there?
So I have a portfolio of about 15 different projects, and I am having some, it seems like every week. I don't know if it's because I recently turned 30 or I'm just in the prime of my life, but my idea machine has just been like going full force, or it's because, 2020 was basically a pause button and now I have all this pent up energy that I need to release.
Right.
But I've got some non-narrative stuff that probably the closest project to being made right now is a non-narrative travel series. And that's really all I can say about it. But it's really cool, and it involves somebody that everybody that's a horror fan knows at this point. And let's say she's an up and comer, but she's done come up, I think. She's one of my best friends, and I'm really excited that she's working on the show with me. So that's a super exciting project. And I got really good news about it today. And maybe in the future, people can look back on this interview and see what I was wearing and pull it all back around and be like, oh my God, Easter egg.
We love Easter eggs.
So today was a very special day for that project. And then I've got a couple of features that are getting some traction, which is really exciting. All horror, all based off of real life experiences I've had. So everything that I create, I've experienced in some form or fashion. So
as I often say, life is stranger than fiction. There we go.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure. So yeah, a lot of really cool stuff. And then also I started recently, so like most people last year, I got into TikTok. And back in January, I started taking it kind of seriously. And I went to Savannah, Georgia for my 30th birthday. And I was shown this museum called Gray Face Museum by a friend.
I know Ryan.
Oh yeah, Ryan's great. So I
He's going to be on the show eventually.
Really awesome. So I went to Gray Face and I made a video about Gray Face, and it got 3 million views overnight and like shared like 45,000 times, and like I think it has like 47,000 comments on it. It was just really insane, and I kind of like was the first time I've ever gone viral. So I was like, I should, doing this. So I just started making dark tourist videos. And I go to random spooky locations and I make videos about them. And I stayed at the real life Conjuring house in March in New Hampshire. It was really scary, and I had a paranormal experience doing that for the first time. And and that's got 2 million views. And I just recently went to Athens, Georgia, and I was working with a company called Horror Pack. And so I was talking to the owners. I was like, "What's the spookiest place in Athens, Georgia?" Because I'd never been there. And they just like threw out some shit. Oh, can I cuss on here?
Yes.
Yeah.
Too late.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
And they were like, "Yeah, there's this murder house down the road." And I go to this house, I film it. I later find out through research that a 15-year-old kid murdered two couple and wrapped him up in a carpet.
Holy shit.
And then 2 months later killed 5 more people, and he was 15 years old. I had no idea. Would have never found this place otherwise, unless I just started talking to people about spooky shit. So yeah, I've been having a lot of fun doing that, and just like kind of creatively, like really challenging myself to make to tell a story in 30 seconds. It's really fun.
What got you into horror in the first place?
I get asked this question every time I do an interview or a podcast or whatever, and I've done a lot of those, and I never have a great answer. Just in my blood, I think. I'm an only child. I was never around other kids. I grew up around adults, and my parents definitely never showed me horror movies, really. The only thing I can kind of correlate to why I'm into this stuff is my father was a news director, and he had been on murder scenes. He was first on the scene in the BTK killings in Wichita, Kansas in the 70s. And I remember him telling me stories growing up of, serial killers have written to him. He's had death threats. He's had guns pulled on him in court. He used to chase tornadoes. So, like I said, I think it's in my blood to one, tell stories, and two, interested in morbid things.
Sure.
But I was just on Clubhouse with Jed Shepard and a bunch of those cats, and they were actually talking about your gateway horror. And I was racking my brain until it came to me. And the first scary thing I can remember, or the first time I can ever remember being scared, was I snuck out of my room when I was about 3 or 4 years old, hiding behind the couch. My parents were watching Indiana Jones Temple of Doom, and it was the heart scene. And I flipped out, and I never snuck out of my room ever again. But the movie that got me into wanting to be a filmmaker was Suspiria, which I saw when I was in high school.
Nice.
Very cool. That's a great one. What did you think of the, just a little off track, but just slightly for a moment, what did you think of the remake?
So I have a funny story about that too. So my 27th birthday, so I live in Atlanta, Georgia, by the way. Mm-hmm. And I was at this I don't know why we decided to go there, because it's not my scene, but it's this very yuppie bar in downtown Atlanta. And it was my birthday, and I was probably 13 or 14 tequila shots in. Way wasted. And Eli Roth walks by.
Oh, great.
With the director of the new Suspiria remake. And they're standing there, and one of my really good friends is Gigi Salguero, and her and Eli have kind of a interesting relationship, I'll say that. And I walked right up to Eli Roth, and I was like,
Luca Guadagnino?
Yeah. And I walked right up to them, and I was like, "Hey, I'm Blair Bathory. You probably know me because I'm best friends with Gigi." And I don't really remember what Eli Roth said, but Luca, right, is his name, He like shook my hand, and Eli Roth goes, no bullshit. He goes, this is the guy remaking the new Suspiria movie. Just like that, like kind of out of nowhere. I'm like, oh yeah, it's gonna suck ass, I'm sure.
Oh,
Nicely done.
And of course, I like go on a rant about Suspiria is Argento is a genius, and Suspiria is my favorite movie, and da 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 da. And then I saw it, and I felt really bad because it was great.
yeah, it is really good remake. I liked it a lot, actually.
Yeah, so one of my embarrassing moments.
That is hilarious. We all need one of those.
No doubt. You were talking about the serial killer thing and how your father, did the crime scenes and everything. And if there was anything that wants to unnerve anybody, if you really want a good logical scare in reality, look up how many active serial killers there are on any given day. It'll
Thanks,
Just
man, because
missing
I need
people.
that much more fucking anxiety.
Yeah, it's just there's too many. It's way more than people think.
Too many, you think?
Oh yeah.
Is there a quantity that's like just the right amount?
Yeah, probably two
Right, exactly.
worldwide.
The Surgeon
that
General's
too, yeah.
acceptable amount of serial killers.
Exactly.
We just sprinkle it in here to season the life.
Yeah.
Well, we got to keep everybody on their toes.
Oh my God.
Right.
Is this collective
Historically,
we, or is this like
civilizations have
a
benefited from
specific we?
5 serial killers?
Right.
It's collectively.
I talked over you, Clayton. Sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I was asking if that was the collective we, or if he was like, membership card holding.
No, absolutely.
Speaking on behalf
But
of.
if you want to be part of the membership, I can get you in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Do you guys have conventions?
I have an inside track, man. Are you kidding?
Nice. It is LA
Have you
after all.
seen his face? Yeah, exactly. Anyway, sorry. Continue. We're gonna pull this off track. If you don't stop us,
100%
we'll keep going.
Derail.
Oh no, please, by all means.
Well, so then I guess some of the questions just with, I think with 2020 and COVID and so on being so present in the psychology of everyone, do you see that like just the quarantine and so on impacting the horror scene? Are there people who really are kind of latching onto that, and is it people are feeling too triggered by it, or so that it just isn't floating? Or I mean, what are your takes on the most recent things that have come out from a horror standpoint?
I haven't really. I mean, so I mentioned Jed Shepard. I mean, he made a horror movie that was very well received during quarantine, and it was about Zoom, which really blew up during quarantine. I think that last year it made all of us, especially creatives, really think about, okay, what do I really want to accomplish? Like, most of us hadn't been on set. My last gig was the beginning of March, and I still have not been on set since March 2020. So I've had a lot of time to marinate in my dreams. And, I think if you took advantage of the opportunity to pause and reflect, it's very beneficial. It was for me. I feel like last year changed my life in the best way, because I shed a lot of preconceived notions of what you have to do to be a filmmaker, because all of that's gone now, or it was gone, and we didn't know if it would ever be the same again. And I think also there's no more prerequisites as far as where you have to be to make movies, because now everything's digital. Like, I'm talking to people every day. I'm the project I mentioned earlier. There's a producer from the UK, New York, or 2 from New York, 1 from UK, 2 from LA, 1 from Canada, and then myself, and I'm in Atlanta. So, but as far as like the psychological element, I think that horror will always be a part of. I mean, I think we will get some of the best horror movies of our generation coming out of this, because horror tends to line up with major historical and sociological events that happen. If you think about the 50s and the space movies that came out, like The Day the Earth Stood Still and all that stuff. The 70s, when golden age of horror, I consider Alien and The Exorcist and all the political happenings going on during that time. I think after era, the race situations that were happening in this country and COVID, you have that type of turmoil. I think that creativity blossoms out of that. Mm-hmm. I think we'll have some of the best makers, creatives, movies come out of that whole mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. It's a mixed blessing, right? Because on the one hand, you don't want all that suffering, but on the other hand, people who suffer tend to make some pretty amazing stuff because they feel it and it really means something to them.
I think you have to suffer to make art. Otherwise, it's disingenuous. I just went to a really cool exhibit. This is not horror related. Well, it's kind of. It was Van Gogh art exhibit, and it was immersive. So they had this room that you walk into, and it was full 360, and it was this crazy. I don't even know how to explain it, but it was really crazy. But they had like some information about his life throughout the experience, and I hadn't known this before, but Van Gogh killed himself at the age of 37, and he was the Starry Night, the very famous painting that we all know. He painted viewing it from the window of his psychiatric hospital. So I
had a tortured soul.
I had never known that information. I was not an art history major, but I just found that really fascinating that, he left behind 900 oil paintings and all kinds of, a ton of work. One of the most prolific artists of our time, or not our time, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he was so broken. It's like, the thing with like Robin Williams. And I think when you give so much of yourself for art, you don't really have anything left. So
yeah, a lot of, and then there's the other unfortunate trend in very creative people, which is to be abusive and slimy, manipulative. And some really great artists have been just awful people, and it's kind of it's really hard to reconcile that. You don't want to support somebody who's a bad person to other people.
Picasso was kind of a prick. At the very least, he was a womanizer and an alcoholic.
It's every time someone brings up someone like Van Gogh or one of the great painters of their era, and like Van Gogh died in, I think it was like 1890 roughly or something like that. So you always think of one of those Claude Monet and Leonardo da Vinci and all of these people that were from 1700s, the 1800s, in that era. And then someone brings up Salvador Dali, and you think that they're right in that same era. And most people don't know that Salvador Dali died in 1989.
Yeah.
Like, he was right there.
He was also a big prick, by the way.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And a total.
I only know Dali was more recent because he had to have been dropping acid at some point.
Right.
Had to have been.
Well, you know what they say about that, and I don't know. This is, of course, possibly just the mythology. I don't know, but the story when I was studying art history was that Dali had, when he was a young boy, he had a twin who died very young, and in Spain at the time, it was the tradition to leave the body in the bedroom overnight and then like have this big ceremony taking him out of the bedroom. So Dali slept in the bedroom with his dead twin for one night. And that, I think that would mess anybody up.
Real good chance
he had some pretty weird, he claims he had been hallucinating his entire life since then. So
was he schizophrenic?
Well,
it's possible. I don't know. I guess now they might diagnose him with something like that.
He for sure had.
But he was. I just knew.
Had long-term sleep deprivation because he wouldn't sleep. He used the story he'd have is he'd hold on to a key over a metal plate, and as soon as he'd nod off, it'd wake him up, and that was part of what he claimed anyway would trigger his creative bouts, is he would have this bizarre liminal state that it had hit, and then so he never let himself get fully into REM. It's a terrible thing to do.
H.R. Geiger did something similar to that.
H.R. Geiger?
I love that guy. He was amazing.
Yeah.
Again, he didn't sleep either.
Have you ever heard H.R. Giger speak? His voice?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
That documentary, I can't remember the name of it, but
Jodorowsky's Dune.
Oh no. But that's also great. No, there's a doc that's strictly about HR and Southern accent Geiger.
I've heard it both ways for sure.
But yeah, he like a very interesting man, a very sexual man.
Yes.
And he was a very romantic gentleman as well. There is a his like theme, H.R. Geiger's theme cafe in Japan that is on the list that I have to visit.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, I've seen that
in Tokyo.
This does not surprise
I believe
me
it is in Tokyo or Kyoto, I think, actually.
It's in Kyoto.
Okay. Wow.
As
I was
someone
there.
who-
I didn't know about it.
Who
Does it
both
have
loves
those
Japanese
chairs?
and oh god, not the chairs.
Does it? I didn't know if it had them.
It has to. How
I
does
don't
it
know.
not?
Right.
Those chairs were amazing. Like that's some amazing work right there too.
Yeah.
Who said you're having Ryan on from Graveface?
Oh yeah. So Ryan, I know because his record label, TerrorVision, put out the soundtrack to my first horror film score for Splatter University. Excuse me. Which
what a
was
small
1984.
world.
Yeah, and so he invited me down to play their, gosh, I've forgotten what it's called, the Graveface Festival. It's got a
Gacy
longer name
Festival,
than-
I think.
Something like that. I can't believe I've forgotten. It was only about 3 years ago, and it's completely gone from my memory. But it was a great experience, and Ryan is such a cool guy. He's so unassuming, and I just love Savannah. I'd never been there before.
I just recently went myself, and Ryan and his wife as well. They're both very interesting people. I've actually been trying to talk to Ryan about doing something. He's a busy guy. He's doing a lot.
Yeah, that's part of the problem with getting him on here is trying to schedule it.
But Graveface is very cool, and it's interesting because I went there and I was like, wow, you have some really unique stuff. And the only other person that I know that had stuff like Ryan has is this guy named Eric Holler, who, if you Google him, he did like 1,000,001 interviews on CNN and everything else. Huge cokehead. That is why we were no longer friends. But he would be happy to tell you that as well. But he had some of the craziest murderabilia that I've ever seen in my life. He had Charles Manson's sperm, and he had the only written confession from Jeffrey Dahmer that Eric had bought from a dirty cop, which I held in my hand, and like I swear I could like feel Jeffrey Dahmer's energy off of it. It was very creepy. He had like dolls that Charles Manson made him out of hair. He had the aviators that the Unabomber wore, just some really crazy stuff. And he was a collector, and he would like resell it for hundreds of thousands of dollars. But he snorted it all away. But I find that so fascinating that like people collect kind of stuff, but like Ryan has built a whole museum around it, so very interesting.
Yeah, we were there when he was before it opened, actually, right before it opened, and then of course it opened, and then pandemic hit. So, that was hard. By the way, just before I forget, this is the TerrorVision release of my.
Oh, so cool! What a small world.
Yeah, Splatter University.
It's awesome.
It's a beautiful cover. I just love the artist who does their covers. Amazing.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, Chloe.
Chloe.
She's did a lot of like jewelry and clothing designs and stuff for them. It's she's really talented.
I spent a good 45 minutes with her at the counter. She was showing me all these very rare occult books that she has collected over the years, and yeah, they're cool people.
That's got to be such a cool subculture to dive into, the occult book collector thing. It's like you're gonna find some eldritch shit in there.
Yeah,
she sounds almost Call of Cthulhu.
Right.
Yeah, she had some stuff. She had, like some what's his name? Led Zeppelin. Yes. Yeah, she had like some she had some very cool stuff. She'd explain it better than I can, but yeah.
Nice.
I was really into that stuff back in my 20s too. A lot of the witchcraft stuff and Anton LaVey, Aleister Crowley, rune stones, all that stuff. Really heavily into it back then. And it's a really rich, deep culture, and you can definitely get a lot of inspiration from it for the horror genre. Definitely.
I don't know if you guys will be able to see this. I'm pretty sure that Chloe designed this. I got it at the festival. Can you see that?
Yeah, Lovecraft.
Yeah, it's on a backing card, but yeah.
So I don't know what Graveface is. So you got to tell me, what is Graveface and why is it so bizarre and cool?
It's a museum. Well, so it's a record shop. It's a museum in Savannah, Georgia, and it's like 3 stories or something.
Wow.
And they have like a pinball section with like 50 fucking pinball machines, and then they have like Ryan has his uncle's full skeleton in this place, and he has. I'll send you the video I made. It explains it rather well, but it's like an oddities museum with serial killer memorabilia, with alien crash site memorabilia, with the real Kool-Aid packets from Jonestown. Like, just I forget how many items are actually in this place, but it's a lot.
Good Lord. Found out not that long ago that apparently there are whole subcultures of people who collect the shoes from Jonestown. That is apparently a big deal.
Yeah. So like the cops that were on the scene like have resold all that stuff. That's where Ryan got the Kool-Aid packets. Yeah. That stuff's like floating around on like a black market or something. It's really crazy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Well, and the I forget who actually, were they the Nikes? I forget, but whoever the shoe manufacturer was has gone to huge lengths to try and expunge any of those things from existence. And every so often.
Oh, you're talking about
Heaven's Gate.
Yeah, Heaven's Gate.
Yes.
Which
not Jonestown. I'm sorry.
Right.
Heaven's Gate's with the purple.
Yes.
Thing, and they hail Bob comment or whatever.
Yes.
Cults are weird.
Also Kool-Aid though, wasn't it?
No, they didn't drink Kool-Aid with cyanide. And also, I got tore up on TikTok because I said Kool-Aid, but it's actually Flavor-Aid, if we're being super specific.
Okay.
But it's a proprietary eponym. So like, socially everybody knows it as Jonestown Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid is like saying Kleenex.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So it's like, yeah. But it's Flavor-Aid.
Yeah.
Right, but in the end, isn't it like kind of I don't want to, cultural is not the right word. It's proprietary to the part of the world that it's being said from, such as like when somebody refers to a can of soda, depending on where you're from in the United States, there's soda, there's pop. In the Southeast, everything is Coke. You want a Coke? What flavor?
Yeah.
You know, so Kool-Aid might be a brand name, but to a lot of the country, Kool-Aid is just colored sugar water. And so it doesn't really matter what it is. So I can see where that would be, but that's very nitpicky of them, especially if you got, dragged across the coals for it.
Well, people on the internet, they have a lot of time and
Oh yeah.
Are you implying that people have strong opinions on the internet?
I am, yeah.
Oh my God, our Twitch chat is blowing up. No, not really.
And they can't.
Yeah, where?
New York. what is it, NYC for the podcast?
Oh, it's Wonderville NYC.
Wonderville NYC on Twitch. Twitch.tv/Wonderville NYC is the Twitch stream. So we're going. The video is being broadcast by Clayton onto Wonderville. Wonderville is an arcade, fine art arcade in Brooklyn where I live.
Cool.
And actually, I was just there last night. And it's a great place. It's a really nice venue, and it's just like, just at a time when everything in New York was disappearing and dying, Wonderville just kind of became a force. They made it through pandemic. They're still struggling, but they do great work. So definitely want to shout them out. And you can follow them on Twitter as well at Wonderville NYC.
I'm trying to come up to New York soon. I'll put Wonderville on the list.
Yeah, give me a shout.
They always have some cool shit on too. I mean, it's almost every day this week they've had something up at least once.
Yeah, the Twitch stream is like, it's just constantly going. A friend of mine does film screenings. Just really weird, out there, fantastical, or hard to find videos and films that he curates, and it's really cool. I just went to one on Monday night. It's like I may as well move in there because I've been there 2 nights this week. I'll be there again next week, and then I'm performing on the 31st there. So it's a home away from home.
Awesome.
What do you got?
Yeah, we don't.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I'm trying to think, like, there's not really any cool like venues I go to like
anymore.
In Atlanta.
Little Five was a little bit that way, I don't know, 10 years ago.
Well, I've only been in Atlanta for 6 years, so.
Okay.
Are you
where are you from, Blair?
Yeah, Little 5 Points was very cool and had a much more, a much less popular scene. You could get into some very bizarre, like there was a place called the Star Bar that
yeah.
I think it only closed down about 5 years ago, but you would get into just some of the most bizarre experiences there. There was a karaoke night I went to at one point in time where this huge white dude, he was easily 400 pounds, got up and just killed some Notorious B.I.G., just absolutely murdered it. And then the following song was Come Sail Away, sung by the tiniest, thinnest little black guy you've ever seen in your world. And also, rocked it. You're like, where the hell, weird, bizarro world have I walked into? It was just, and that was a Star Bar. You'd get everything from the drag shows to I don't even think it exists anymore, but it was a fun place.
I think it actually is still there, or it just recently closed down. Yeah, okay. Because James Bickert and those guys, they talk about it a lot. It's on Creative Bikers.
Just to not to take this too far off topic, but it is I think related. It's been in the news this past week. I think you guys probably know about the Mahoning Drive-In in Pennsylvania. Has that been on your radar?
Oh.
It's a drive-in that's been around, God, I don't know how many years, probably close to 100 years, I don't know, 50, 70 years or something like that. And it's got, a period marquee. It's just beautiful, right? And they show, they've kind of been born again in recent years as a destination for horror films, late night horror films, and they've been showing a lot of stuff. Joe Bob Briggs has made trips there and done stuff. They have a festival, but they just got, they're kind of getting screwed right now because the government, they've been leasing the land from the government, and the government has basically optioned it to be sold to a solar panel company. And so they may, they're planning on just tearing everything down. And I think the people who run the drive-in can't afford to move it. Obviously, it's probably just too fragile to move anyway. Yeah. Giant screen, like everything. It's like driving into the 1950s.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So so there's a big campaign right now to save it, and I think if they get enough people to speak out about how important it is culturally, it's not that far into Pennsylvania. I feel like it's a not too bad a drive from like say Philadelphia or something, but I've never been there myself.
It's in Lehigh.
I know that. What's that?
I think it's in Lehigh.
Lehigh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Or Lehighton. Or...
Lloyd Kaufman has done things there. I mean, everybody you know from the horror community has done something there at some point. But anyway, I was just curious if anybody was following that story. I'd like to see. I mean, we want to say, yeah, solar panels. Let's have solar panels, but let's not displace this.
Yeah, can we put them anywhere else? They have to be right here.
It's if you want to go check it out, it is mahoningdit.com, mahoningdit.com. Chris, I thought you were talking about there was a stabbing that happened down here at one of the drive-ins. I was like,
nice.
I wasn't following it, but I heard about it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
their argument to the government would be pretty hard to make. It's like, we have to have a place for people to get stabbed. You can't take our land away.
Fuckers. Where else are going to get people get stabbed? Memorial Drive.
Footage.
That's where. Memorial Drive.
Also Mulholland Drive.
Yeah, I guess it's very it's not quite eminent domain, but they're Green Skies Clean Energy LLC, who plans to demolish the theater, iconic screens, marquee, and construct a solar farm in its place. Well, that does suck.
I don't know how dire it is. It's down. I mean, obviously they're going to paint it as dire because they want to try to mobilize people, and I don't blame them.
Right.
But I don't. They do have a little bit of time to respond before the decision is made final. I think that the Green Skies has to go through a whole bunch of hoops, jump through a bunch of hoops to, environmental impact, all that stuff. So
August 3rd.
It'll take a little while.
7 p.m.
Is that what it is?
August 3rd, 7 p.m. Come
That's
to the meeting
the date?
wearing your Mahoning shirt.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
okay.
Like, damn, okay, they don't have a lot of time.
That's their, I guess it's one of the zoning board hearings. So they show up in force.
Okay.
Torches and pitchforks, bitches.
Yeah, right. Blair, have you been down to Fantastic Festival in Austin?
I haven't. I actually went to Austin for the first time in my life, April, and I really enjoyed it.
It's a good horror town.
It is. I mean, the bats on the bridge thing, that alone was like, wow, the city itself is gothic. That's awesome.
Right.
Did you do a bat
it
boat?
was a short trip. Huh?
Did you do the bat boat?
I didn't do the bat boat. I just stood on the top of the bridge, but it was very cool. I really enjoyed it. And then I found the Museum of the Weird, which was kind of nestled back on that one street or whatever. And I stayed at this fantastic new boutique hotel. God, I can't remember what it's called. It just had opened, but it was it looked like the Haunted Mansion. It was awesome. Yeah, Austin was really cool. The Driscoll Hotel, haunted. Went there too.
Yeah. Yep.
Please tell me you guys have done New Orleans and the shadier side of New Orleans with the voodoo and all those shops.
Yes, I've done New Orleans several times. I've done Savannah now. I'm in Florida for 2 months. And there's actually so much in Florida. It's a little overwhelming as far as dark tourist spots. So I'm trying to go through all of them and decide where do I really need to go. Where I'm at right now, the house I'm in right now is just down the street from Casey Anthony's house and Kaylee Anthony's body site. A stone's throw.
I was gonna say, you're in Florida, so it's really kind of everywhere. All you got to do is kind of walk around the locals. It's Florida. I mean, it's in the newspaper. They've got a meme for it. Florida man.
Yeah, I'm from Florida. I was born and raised in Atlantic Beach, which is basically Jacksonville.
Yep.
And I never really realized how weird this state is until I left.
Yep. Oh yeah.
It's weird. I don't know. The heat does something to people.
I spent 12 years in Pensacola and that general area over there in the Panhandle.
Oh, Lord.
Let me tell you, man, walking out, I swear to God, it took me the first 3 years after getting down there to finally get this accent. And then I had it. and then I left, and everybody just made so much fun of me. It was ridiculous. But yeah, no, go ahead. Nope, I'm done.
I was just gonna say, they say, just a quick thing. I've heard that they say that the further north you go in Florida, the further south you go in the United States.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
it becomes
very
more
true.
and more southern. Yeah.
I mean, Jacksonville's pretty country in itself. I mean, I had a very unique upbringing, and I'm actually writing a feature about it because I grew up surfing actually from the age of 4 till 17 when I left, and you know, Atlantic Beach and Jax Beach, Neptune Beach, they're some of the best surfers in the world come from there. And it's such an idyllic little beach town that it's kind of perfect. And every time I go back, I'm like, God, I grew up here. Like, it's just so weird. Like, my house was on the beach. So I was really blessed in that. But my grandmother lives in Apopka, which is where I'm at. Apopka is country. Like it used to be just orange groves, basically. Yeah.
Where is that in relation to the Okeechobee swamp and all that?
I don't know how close it is to Okeechobee, but we're 20 minutes from Disney, if that gives you a
Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, they're way down. Yeah. I think Okeechobee is north, isn't it?
Yeah, Okeechobee's in the middle.
I can't remember where the heck that is, but
it might be on the armpit. I think it's on.
I've been there, and I don't remember where it is.
No, I'm
swamp
an hour north of Casadega, and I'm 20 minutes from Disney. I used to work at Disney.
I'm sorry.
I actually really loved it. I was Alice in Wonderland in the Light Parade, and then I was a lifeguard at Typhoon Lagoon, which was the coolest job ever because I got to swim with sharks every day. I was 17. It was a cool ass job when you're, you know,
one of my last sustaining phobias right there. Can't do them.
Swimming with sharks?
One of the last one. No, just sharks, period. It's like one of the last things.
Or nurse sharks.
Well, nurse sharks. Cool. Yeah, that I could handle, but
yeah,
it wasn't like a bull shark. Yeah, exactly. They just kiss you.
Yeah. But you know, you get a nice tiger shark or a mako or something like that, and bye.
God, we don't really have those in Florida, but there have been quite a few great whites spotted. You know, in Cocoa. Cocoa has a really bad bull shark. Actually, I think not Daytona, but Jupiter has like the highest rate of shark attacks in like the world or something like that. Wow. Like, yeah. Because I had to go surfing in Jupiter all the time. I was like, hell no, I'm not going to Jupiter.
Yeah, I've been swimming in Jupiter. I didn't know this when I was swimming.
Yeah.
You never want to actually see when there's a lot of planes that fly over the clear water, especially down in the Gulf, where before, of course, all the spills and the water was like crystal clear.
Right.
So many people out swimming, so many sharks swimming around them, and they had no idea. And they're always there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, well, the thing of it is, like, especially you're talking about with bull sharks, like the brackish water where you can't see is where you gotta have an issue, because then like, oh cool, well I can't see it, I may as well find out what you taste like.
Yeah, actually, fun fact, maybe some of you may know this, but you know, Jaws was based off of a true story of I cannot remember the kid's name, but it was a little boy and he was swimming in it was in New York. But anyway, he was attacked by a bull shark and died. And it was a bull shark. And it was like an intercoastal type thing. It wasn't the ocean.
Yeah, bull sharks are assholes.
They are. They're very.
That's a technical term, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
On all their scientific papers, asshole. It's just right
apparently it was in 1916 and in New Jersey of all places, and
New Jersey.
Killed 4 people, including the 10-year-old boy.
Yes. And what was his name? Can you see it?
No, it doesn't say.
Timmy.
Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Poor Steven.
Yeah. I just wanted to mention to anybody listening, if you go to the Twitch chat and ask Blair a question, the first 3 questions, we have Splatter University audio cassettes Slaughter University's
Very nice.
score, original soundtrack on audio cassette for you. So we'll see. I've been mentioning it in this stream. We'll see if anybody comes up with a question.
Nice.
But please go on. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh yeah, it's just interesting. The Jaws was based off of a bull shark. So
The poor
I think it's
great
also
white
pretty
man.
funny.
They get screwed.
So bad. I mean, they're amazing, amazing creatures. 7 senses. I mean, they're 2 more than we've got. And you know, the fact that the shark in the movie, when you're an adult and you watch that movie and you go, "Wow, that thing is so fake." Like, there's no question. The jaws don't extend. You know, the shark is rubbery looking. Everything about it. But when I was 6 and I saw it for the first time, nope, I didn't. I lived on a farm when I was 6 in back up in Maine, hundreds of miles from the ocean. Terrified that shark was going to crash through the floor of my bedroom and eat me alive. Like, it just stuck with me for life.
I didn't like swimming in swimming pools as a kid. It was dark outside for the same friggin' reason.
Yep.
It's a pool.
Yeah.
I know.
It didn't matter.
Doesn't matter. It's dark water. It's What's under there? Who knows?
I went water
Something could
skiing.
have spontaneously, materialized while we were inside.
Water skiing one time, man. One time. Got up on the skis for and it's really hard if you've never done it. It's really hard to water ski. Got up on the skis for 10 seconds. Lost my grip, went down. Boat's got to circle around. So I'm in the middle of the bay. And I think this was back in the Gulf. And I don't remember how deep the water was, but we were out in the middle of it. I'm looking down going, hurry up, because I can't see anything below me. That was terrifying.
Oh my God.
It was terrifying. Get me out of here. I'll never do this again.
Yeah, the scariest movies I have ever seen have all had to do with shark deaths. I can't remember which one it was. It's the famous story about the couple diving off of some reef.
Yeah.
Open water.
Open water.
Open water.
Is it called open water?
Above
Open
where she's treading. Yeah, Amanda, thanks. She's treading water, and you see
good.
the sharks.
That's a good film.
It blew me away. I was just like, "Oh my God, this is literally the things, what fuels my nightmares."
That's a good. That was a very scary, good film.
Yeah.
It was very effective.
But there's actually not that many people that have been killed by sharks, right?
No, it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
I mean, statistically.
You have a more statistically you have a more of a chance by getting struck by lightning than being attacked by a shark.
Yeah.
But to bring up an incident, remember the story that the fisherman tells in Jaws about being on that destroyer in World
It's a
War
real
II?
story too. Yeah.
Right. So that's a lot of dead people from sharks in one incident.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to tempt
Yeah,
them
but
that,
But Windy sharks have a buffet of human legs.
Right.
You can't really get away from that. Yeah, I completely agree. And especially since a lot of the people that went into the water were already bleeding, so it was kind of like dinner bell.
Oh,
You want to talk about speaking of things that fuel your nightmares but are not shark related? If anyone has ever watched any of the River Monster shows with Jeremy Wade,
of course,
just enjoy.
I'm more afraid of that kind of like micro organisms that get into your brain and attack your brain. Like stuff you can't see. Like for me, what scares me is aliens in space and robots. Those terrify me. Also, like catastrophic. We just had 2020, but just stuff you can't see. Things that you can't touch and feel, but it can still kill you.
Sure.
And one of the scariest movie scenes of all time for me is the ending of 12 Monkeys, when the bad guy opens that of the virus and he just has that look on his face. I don't know, that scene has always scared the shit out of me. Fire in the Sky is one of the scariest movies I've ever seen. Alien abduction stuff. The Fourth Kind.
What's fucked up is I watched 12 Monkeys, and then shortly after I watched Contact for the first time.
Nice.
So I have this very bizarre association between those two characters. You're like, oh, maniacal, humanity-ending scientist or loving dad. It messed with my head.
We have a question. We have a question for Blair from Twitch.
Hey.
Corsa Lore asks, I guess she wasn't here earlier, but she wanted to know if you had already talked about dark tourism. If you wanted to tell us a little bit about what that's about, what's the concept mean, and what do you do?
Yeah, so dark tourism is the idea that you like to visit sites of morbid things or haunted things or scary things, spooky things, anything in that realm. So murder houses, sites of crime scenes, famous crime scenes, haunted locations, cemeteries. I had mentioned I'm a stone's throw from the Kaylee Anthony house where I'm at right now. I've actually been researching a story today because I'm going to go film tomorrow. There's a house there's a house in Apopka, Florida, the Townsend Plantation, and it originally was adjacent to the cemetery, the oldest cemetery in Apopka. And it was one of the first doctors in the 1800s in Apopka, and his wife, long story short, she ended up shooting a guy in the house and murdering him. The wife did, for a lover's quarrel. And instead of her going to jail because her husband was pretty influential in the town, they locked her up in the house and she died in the upstairs of this house. Well, now the house has been moved to right down the street from me. It's this old white plantation house. It's really beautiful, actually, a Victorian style house. And people claim to see her walking up and down the stairs and stuff. So yeah, that's what dark tourism is.
Excellent. And this is a YouTube series? Where can one see this?
So I started doing it because of the grave face video and not going viral.
Right. Right.
So I make them on TikTok and then I repost them on. I'm literally on every social media app.
Okay.
I've got Instagram, Twitter, Clapper. I just started doing Clapper.
Clapper?
Which is basically it's basically TikTok.
Yeah. Clap on. Clap off. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm on everything. I filmed an entire video of the Conjuring house. I stayed there with a group of paranormal investigators. And I'm not a paranormal investigator, but I'm an intuitive. And, I've always energies and stuff when I go places, but I never really, I've been a filmmaker my whole life. So that's taken precedent over any other hobby. But, I've recently got into more metaphysical stuff. And when I was at the Conjuring house, I met this girl named Amanda, and she's a wonderful paranormal investigator. And she showed us how to do this thing called an Estes session, which is basically you out all your senses and you hook yourself up to a spirit box, which is basically a AM FM radio that runs through channels really, really, really fast. And the idea is that in between the channels, spirit can speak to you. And it sounds like in your headphones, but like if you meditate kind of, you can like hear stuff in the noises.
Oh my God.
And so
Beautiful.
I was the only one filming this whole night at the Conjuring house, which is Ed and Lorraine Warren claimed to be one of the most haunted locations they ever visited. And sitting there in the living room of this old farmhouse that's been there, since the 1700s. That in itself was really trippy for me. But sitting there and I'm doing the Estes session, the camera's pointing on me, and my eyes are blindfolded and I can't hear anything but the spirit box. Like it's super loud in my ears. And all the group is asking questions, and I can't hear the questions, but I'm supposed to be getting the answers from spirit. So at the time, I didn't know what they were saying, but I heard in the spirit box somebody say my name, and then I felt something touch my arm. And when I watched the video back, they asked, "Where are you in the house?" and I immediately recoil and I grab my arm because I felt something touch my arm.
Ugh.
And they said Blair. They said Blair like 3 times.
Mm-mm. Nope.
That's terrifying.
It was my first like
I mean-
true paranormal experience.
So, do you normally just wake up screaming because of this? That's what I would do, I think.
Well, I mentioned like I can feel energies and locations, and like that location has so much energy in it, that you go into it like expecting something to happen. But like where I'm at right now, this is my childhood home, my grandmother's home. I feel very safe here, so I don't feel like anything attached to me. We went actually into the basement of this old ass house, and me and the one girl did a Ouija board, and did it with this other girl, and she had a child. She's a mother, and the Ouija kept spelling out "mom." Very weird.
Red rum. Wow.
It's pretty funny that you would bring this up, because one of the things that the guys have been trying to pull together for this week or next week or sometime soon is a game of Phasmophobia, which is pretty much exactly what you're talking about, because they have a spirit box in it. They have all of that stuff. It's a ghost hunting game, and it is insanely popular right now. It's a team of 4 people that have the truck with all the equipment, and you go into a house and you try and determine where the ghost is, and then you report it. The only difference, of course, is that in the game, the ghost can kill you if you mess up.
It's a video game.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
looking forward to having this scare the absolute piss out of me. It'll be great.
Yeah, and
We can probably guarantee there won't be any ghosts that grab you if you play it.
right, no, and it will it can be played in VR too, and that's one of the things that a lot of people that have done the Let's Plays really get into.
Yeah.
I think the biggest draw more than anything is that the sound design for the game is brilliant. It has immediately, every time that you walk into any one, if they've got a couple different style of houses, log cabin, high school, an asylum, a prison, all of these places. But whenever you walk in through that front door, it immediately goes to that subsonic hum of like a furnace way off in the distance, which immediately sets you on edge.
Yeah.
And then everything after that, like some door will slam someplace, or just so it's going to be that. And we had talked about possibly having the voice actors do different characters while they're playing it and staying in character just for.
Are you familiar with Jed Shepard?
I know that name, but I'm not sure where.
He produced Host. Came out on Shudder last year. So he's directing, EPing a video game called Ghost. It's a in real time virtual reality experience.
Nice.
And it's like a group of paranormal investigators, and you have to like save them. So he just got done shooting that, but yeah, he's doing a Ghost video game too.
Nice. That's awesome.
It is very popular these days.
It is.
Mostly because VR's gotten so good.
Right, and I think there's a lot of the there's Devour was a game that one of our castmates here was in, where they play a demon possessed cult leader, and then there's another one. Like there's a couple of them that are out there where it's like 4 people get together and they try and survive, blah blah blah. But the scenarios are pretty rigid, pretty straightforward. Survive and get this task done. Whereas in Phasmophobia, the reason it's become so popular is that it changes every time. There's like 14 or 15 different types of ghosts, and you have to figure out which one it is by what clues it leaves and how it acts. The game itself uses Microsoft speech, so when you speak, the AI that is the ghost hears you and picks you up, like points you out. And it follows you around, and if you are vulgar, swear, that type of thing, it angers them. They become more active.
What is this called?
Phasmophobia. PHA, and it's on Steam.
Oh, I'll have to,
No.
I am not a video game person.
No, but I mean, even if not, it's one of those things like if we play it, we can stream it and you can watch it. And if nothing else, go watch some of the Let's Plays on YouTube, and you'll get a good idea because it's in first person. You can't run. You can speed walk, but you can't run. Yeah, there's no real weapons other than like if you throw down a cross where the ghost spawns, it'll stop it for a short period of time. Type things like that. You can.
This is already out, or
Oh
it's
yeah, it's
coming
been out
out?
for years. No, it's been out for years now.
Oh, okay.
So we have another question on Twitch. Blair, as an intuitive, do you or how often do you clear your energy or meditate generally, or do you have a regular ritual, or do you not? Is that not necessary really for you?
So I'm a Libra, so I'm very ritualistic.
Yeah.
And I mentioned the 2020 thing, and that was the pause button. So another reason, I don't know, want to get too personal, but I cry. I'm sorry. A year ago today was the death of my aunt, and it was the first time I had ever assisted, maybe not be the right word, but I was present during her final days. And it was really intense for me because it was my father's side of the family. And I'd always had a connection to my aunt because she was a writer, she was a beloved teacher. And, we had a lot of like similarities in that sense. Like we love telling stories. But, I grew up in Florida and both sides of my family were in different states. I was very segregated from my family growing up. Anyway, I hadn't seen her in 10 years. And the first time I see her is she's dying of cancer. And I was literally in her house watching her pass. And July 15th, 2020, she died. And I actually posted this video on my Instagram today. I'm in the room, my dad's sitting on the bed, she had just passed, and I don't know, I like recording moments. So I picked up a picture of her and I thought I would record her picture and then look out the window. So I record it and then I look out the window, and as the camera there's a monarch butterfly sitting on the window. And it was perfectly just, and I just felt her spirit, and I just knew it was her. And that was such a life altering moment for me. And was just kind of like came into like tune with like my I guess it's a gift. Like I can feel, like I felt her come through me that day, and I felt her all day today. That's why I'm wearing the butterflies. Actually, a friend of mine, because I am working on this project, and I was talking to her about it, and she's like, "Do you know what's significant about 715?" And I said, "No," and she said, "Well, 715 is an angel number, which means your angels are guiding you and looking after you into the next chapter of your life." So yeah, so to answer your question in that very long winded way, within the last year I've really tapped into healing, I guess. And yeah, I do meditate every day, and I cleanse myself every day, and I've really gotten to like salt baths. And I'm not really into crystals. That really doesn't do anything for me, but salt. I do a lot of stuff with salt. I cleanse myself with salt. I take a lot of salt baths. I salt ritual at my house when I'm home, at my front door and stuff. So yeah. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, totally. I mean, actually leads me to another thing that is a favorite topic of mine. I mean, it's a pretty serious topic for horror, but I've always felt like there's a connection, between trauma, healing, and horror. Basically horror stories, horror media of any kind. and I am of the belief that horror can heal you in certain ways, and it can prepare you for things. Do you feel like that's true for yourself? That it's been a kind of an education or of any kind, or if it helps you process grief, maybe?
It's definitely cathartic. And in the clubhouse I was in earlier, we were talking about, identifying with survivors. If you've ever experienced any type of trauma, the story arc of so many horror movies, the protagonist is weak in the beginning and they have to find their power throughout the story and fight the bad guy and survive. And I think especially as a woman, you look to identify with a survivor. Yeah, I think that's why people are so drawn to the genre and drawn to things like dark tourism, and why women love true crime. I was having that discussion the other day, like why we're so drawn to that. And I think, we can identify with it in so many ways. And just the human experience. We all die. So it's like, how do you reconcile with that other than
Right.
looking it in the face all the time,
Yeah, it's fascinating. I think it's hard for people to understand sometimes because there's a certain, obviously, an aesthetic pleasure, entertainment aspect to horror that people somehow think flies in the face of processing grief and healing and coming to terms with death. But I think that it's basically all the two things can happen at the same time, right? You can be enjoying something, you can be laughing at a horror film and still basically be getting something from it that helps you process grief or come to terms with mortality in an interesting way.
And, founded my company Fear Haus on the belief that fear is the universal language. Every culture has a horror story, an urban legend, a tale of demons, ghosts, whatever, to warn children not to do this or go in the woods or by the lake or whatever it is. So I think fear, horror, it's such a real emotion all of us feel, every single person on this earth. So when I realized that there was short horror filmmakers from literally every country on this planet, I wanted to make a home for them, and that's kind of where the idea of Fear Haus came to be. But yeah, I think it's the best genre in the world, for sure.
Thanks.
Well, I know you said you
questions. Whoever was asking them.
Yeah, go ahead, Clayton.
No, I know you said you could only stick around until 10. If you've got more time, by all means, you should stick around. But we want to be respectful of your time.
Yeah, I can stay till about 10:20, 10:25.
Awesome. What do you have do you have anything coming up next? You said you've got a bunch of I guess a bunch of pokers in the fire, and you're just kind of waiting to see what goes. Is that this? So it's kind of a waiting. Are you writing all the time while you're doing this as well?
Yeah, I literally try. I try and create something every single day. I've found that my happiness depends on that. I do not write, film, make something in the day. I get really depressed. I also have severe ADHD, so I just have to keep the momentum going, or it just goes off the rails. So, yeah, I'm spinning a lot of plates. I'm having a lot of really exciting conversations. Some with some people you probably know, and it is just a waiting game. I got some really good news today, and it's just like one. I mean, you guys all know it's one little tiny step forward every week, So yeah, I mean, I've got the travel project, and then full features, and then so had an idea to kind of expand this dark tourist thing maybe, and do like a travel guide situation that I'm kind of considering. There's just so many interesting stories in these small towns, like that you would never, unless you're like listening to the local news, you wouldn't know about these murders and ghost stories and whatever. So,
oh yeah, I think that's one of
so
the things
fun.
that's awesome about small towns, especially, is you tend to find, whether, I don't know if it's just a byproduct of being in a small town, but there is, between the gossip and all the other people who are talking around the local firehouse or post office or whatever it was. I know when I was living in Tennessee, everyone swore that the lady who lived on the end of the lane was both a witch and a hooker. How they combined the two of those things, I don't know. But it absolutely, and everyone was just totally convinced that if you did something wrong, she'd curse you. And somehow there was some hooker thing going on there. So she was seeing Johns as well. And you're like, all right, maybe we weren't supposed to tell anyone about her being a hooker because then she'd curse you. Or maybe it was she was getting love magic. We had no idea, but we were so utterly convinced. My then grandmother was like, "You stay away from that house, Clayton, because she gonna curse you." It's like,
Trope
okay,
scene out of a horror film. Stay away from that old house.
but it absolutely is, and I think that's a thing that is such a common touchstone for all the small town America. There's always some bizarre thing you find, or some it's the tall tale, or the just the, as you said, there's sort of these bizarre
There's
ghost
always
stories.
that one creepy house at the end of the road, and I think Stephen King really leans into that. The small town. He always writes about Maine and a group of kids, finding the haunted house or whatever. I mean, the Fear Street, or that was R.L. Stine, but him too. I haven't seen Fear Street yet, but yeah, I mean, that's such and that's such like Americana too, like haunted ghost stories of your hometown or whatever. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun exploring. And I'm from Florida, and I'm like finding these stories. Like I just was researching today. There's a cemetery called in Eustis, Florida, which is like just a small town in Central Florida. And in 2019, in this like old cemetery, a guy strangled his stepmother, who was 7 months pregnant, to death in the cemetery.
Jeez.
Immediately called the police and confessed. What? And it was on Daily Mail, and I just like stumbled upon it because I was researching the cemetery.
No doubt.
But it's just like I'm from here. I've never even heard of that, So
I can verify the Stephen King stuff. I grew up in Maine for the first 18 years of my life. And when I was about 17, I was down in the Old Port, which is like right on the docks in Portland, Maine. And Mr. King was having lunch out there. And I just went up and asked if I could join him and sat with him for like half hour or so.
Oh, cool.
Super nice guy. This was like 1986, I think it was.
Wow.
And a little weird. I mean, it's Stephen King. You would expect just a little bit of weirdness. Weird. But the house that he has up in Lewiston, Auburn, I think it is, or Augusta, somewhere in that area. But he's got the big gates and the bats on the gates and the wrought iron fence. Yeah, he did a wonderful job. But he's an insanely intelligent man. He's just wonderful, very polite, which is, I think it says a lot about authors that write horror, people that are involved in horror. There tends to be a hunger for knowledge, a need to be more aware of your surroundings. So it really does play into, the culture and the genre itself.
Sure. Also his discipline. I've always admired how disciplined he is as a creative. I don't even know how many books he's written, but my God, like that man has not stopped writing since he was 19 years old.
He writes every day. Like he writes absolutely every day for at least an hour, if not longer, and he doesn't look at it. He just puts it away in a drawer. That's actually, the Dark Tower series. he wrote that in like 73, I think it was, and then stuck it in a drawer and didn't find it until later.
Not all that surprising you write that much, I guess.
No,
Speaking of writing, Blair, when you're writing a piece of horror, especially, what's your preferred topic?
An experience I've had in my life.
Yeah.
So that it varies. Like, and so I've directed a couple of shorts, and the first one I did was it's called First Date on YouTube. I made it when I was 20, and it was an allegory for online dating, but it's essentially about this guy going on a date and find out the girl he is meeting is a demon. And I had just started like dating. I just broke up with a guy, so I wrote that, and then I did a short after that called Kitty Kitty, and it's about an ancient Egyptian cat goddess named Naftet, who is the goddess of execution. And it was an allegory for abortion because she kills the main character, like rips out a fetus of the main character literally in the movie. And we made a full foam latex creature suit with a 9-foot scorpion tail that was puppeteered in camera. It was super fun. That was my film school. I dropped out of high school and immediately started working on set when I was 18. And my film school was that fucking movie because it damn near killed me trying to finish it.
Not bad.
Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, and I'm writing a feature right now that is based off of this kid I went to high school. And there's some demonic Illuminati stuff in there, and which all happened to him. This is all in the story, and I've got another script that's about Appalachian Mountains, which is where my grandmother's from. So the stories always take a life of their own, but it's rooted in something I know.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Out of curiosity, on the one you were just talking about with the full character suit, was that where you ran into Raymond Carr? Is that your? Because I know you've got some other projects you work with him on.
Oh yeah, Raymond.
Mm-hmm.
No, Raymond directed some of Fear Haus.
Gotcha.
So Molly Coffey and Drew Sawyer were my former business partners on Fear Haus. We've since participated the partnership. No hard feelings, but like I said in the beginning, Fear Haus is kind of on the back burner right now because I just really needed to. I started as a cinematographer, but my heart is in writing and directing, and I didn't do that for a really long time because I put literally every egg I had in the Fear Haus basket.
Sure.
It was just time. It was time to kind of let it go for a little while, and if it comes back around, awesome. I really still believe in the project and all the filmmakers that are involved. I have licensing rights to like 80 short films from all over the world. But yeah, I want to make some movies, so just been hustling trying to get that done.
Wow.
Yeah, Raymond did some actually Raymond, because of the puppet thing. He had a puppeteered man-eating plant on one of the Fear Haus episodes. That was super fun.
Raymond does love his puppets. He's a fun dude to
yes,
talk
he
to.
does.
Did it say "Feed me, Seymour"?
I can't remember if we actually did say that, but I think we were all making the Audrey 2 joke. Yeah.
Of course. How could you not, right?
Exactly.
Blair, do you? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, Raymond's cool. That was all I was gonna say.
Okay. Can I ask you one more question before we go? Do you have any favorite pieces of media, literature, film, horror related? Like, was there anything? I know this is sort of related to the first question you answered, which was, what was your breakout? Your big life changing horror moment. But do you have anything that you look back at and think, if only I can make something like this one day in my life? Do you have anything like that? Do you know that?
Yeah, I mean, so I would love one day to make, I mentioned aliens scare me, but if I could make something like Alien, um, that would be really special. Any type of like grand scale movie, or even like a pirate movie, something just grand would be really awesome. That have influenced me. I mean, literally, I'm a sponge. I literally just take everything in. I love people. So just having conversations with guys like you, like I love hearing people's stories, and that inspires me. As far as like media, I was talking about this earlier, but like there was a show when I was a kid called So Weird. It was on the Disney Channel, and it was about this young girl who had metaphysical powers, and her mother was a rock star, and they were on tour throughout the country, and she would find ghosts and aliens and all kinds of stuff. I always just wanted to be her, so that one really inspired me. um, yeah, Italian cinema, Japanese cinema really inspired me. Oh, I mean, dream projects, if I could shoot something in Japan, that would be mind-blowing for me.
Yep.
I really like I brought up Appalachia. I really want to shoot something East Tennessee, North Carolina area. So yeah, I mean, there's so much I want to do.
We should talk about Italian cinema sometime. I worked on 2 Fulci movies in the 80s.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was just a PA, but I was like one of 4 Americans on set.
Oh,
Everybody
so
else was Italian.
cool.
Yeah, it was The New York Ripper and Manhattan Baby were the 2 films.
Oh,
And then
cool.
the following year, the same film company, Fulvia Films, brought Enzo Castellari to New York, and we, the same 4 Americans, worked on 1990, The Bronx Warriors. Are you familiar with Castellari at all?
Hmm?
He's the guy who did the original Inglourious Bastards.
Hmm?
Yeah. So yeah, just craziness. Like really, I have so many stories from those shoots. Oh my God.
I love giallo and I love spaghetti westerns. Yeah, and I have a friend named Martino. He's a bassist in a metal band, and he hosted me in Italy for my first trip. Italy has such a cool vibe to it, and just the history. Being an American, you go to countries like that, and it's like in his hometown, which was Rimini. We we were walking the streets, and he's like, "Yeah, that bridge was built by the Roman Empire," and I like got emotional because I like was touching the stone. I was like, "It's so ancient," and like I was just freaking out. But it's so cool. Like that, there's stuff here from that long ago, and it yields itself to some really cool vibes, I guess. But I haven't been to Japan yet, and I was supposed to go before 2020 happened. And oh my God, I think about it every day. I know I'm meant to be there. So, but yeah,
I've got a good friend
love
that lives
Italian
out
cinema.
there. Talk to him quite often. He's actually Danish, and he got married to a woman out there, and I think he lives northern Japan, like near Kyoto. I don't remember exactly what the town he lives in, but funny enough, this is something that I learned about Japanese in general. There's a lot of American stuff that Japanese like, but there's one Canadian thing that Japanese really love, and he actually works at a cafe that imports his stuff from Canada, and it's maple syrup. They love it. They love maple syrup. And there's not really a segue here, but I wanted to, before you took off too, there was another question, kind of horror related,
Bring
but
lots of
also
maple syrup with you.
life related too. What's your closest brush with death, personally?
Jesus, man.
Hey, I want to ask. I'm curious.
I can tell you right now. I've actually never told this story before.
Score.
So, I wouldn't have been comfortable telling it before, but now I don't care. So
Well, we are honored.
The day, I hope my parents aren't watching. The day I left my hometown, had just finished that movie, and the lead actor from that film was also a DJ in Jacksonville. So he invited me to his set or whatever. Long story short, I ended up taking a lot of different types of drugs. Molly, coke, weed. I mean, it was a layered night, if you will. And I OD'd. And I was in my car, and I'm not really sure what divine power kept me alive, but I woke up and it was 5 o'clock the next day. I'd already packed all my stuff in the car to leave my hometown. Like that was the day I was leaving. And I left and I never went back. Nice. And yeah, that was the closest I've ever been to death.
I only asked because, and I think Clayton, I've already told these guys that I when I was in the music industry for 10 years, we were doing Three Dog Night in Mississippi, and after the show was done, driving away, I wasn't driving. I was in the middle seat between the passenger seats, and the driver fell asleep and rolled the truck 11 times. I went through the windshield. Got slammed onto the ground 45 miles an hour, skidded through poison ivy, ended up on top of a bed of red ants, was life flighted out, died in the hospital. God. Yeah, it was that really
was like two additional middle fingers from
I know,
God.
right? I know.
Like, it's like you're getting in a massive car accident, and I'm gonna roll your ass in poison ivy, and I'm gonna roll your ass in
red ant. Yeah, this is it was in Mississippi too. Like you just know those, yeah. And to add insult to injury, I had just, because we were doing, it was a one night with Three Dog Night, and so we had to like look really good, and so I just bought a brand new pair of pants, and I had just gotten paid, so all my money was in my wallet, my pants, and they'd cut them off at the scene and left them there.
Oh no.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So it's like all on top of everything, and yeah, died, and I had 120 stitches in my back from the glass, and it was shredded. It took me like 3 months to learn to walk again. But the thing about, for me, this one was, you were talking about a lot of the experiences that, influenced your creativity and everything like that. I didn't grow up with any religion. So there was a difference in my viewpoint on how things work. So when I died, there was, for me, it was like a rest period. There was nothing for me. But the thing about it more than anything was, I think that when I came back out of it and was more coherent, it was a very good, okay, well, there's things I got to do, and I have a limited amount of time. It was definitely that moment where you realize you're not immortal, and there's a lot of things that you want to do, so get them done.
Yeah. I mean, more so than I brush with death, it was what happened with my aunt last year that helped me realize that. But I mean, it's live fast, young, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, but do you have residual pain from all that, or like anything?
I missed you. Faded out a little bit. Repeat the question.
Do you have like residual pain from that accident, or like has it affected your life in any way?
Oh yeah.
Oh wow.
Because the way that there was the driver and there was a guy on the passenger seat, and I was in the middle. And because the truck went down the right side of the incline, and I had been in an accident prior to this before, a rollover, but I didn't get hurt in that one. And so I woke up at that kind of 45-degree angle and was like, we're going off the road. So I kind of nudged the driver, dude, you're sleeping. You need to, wake up. And he panicked and pulled the wheel. So the truck jerked. And when it rolled, the passenger side door popped open. He just rolled out. Rolled again, the driver's side, he just rolled out. And I got shot through the driver's side door, kind of upside down and backwards. So my head broke the glass, my back raked across them, and then my left leg hit the door and bent it. So it that pulled the ACL like 4 millimeters. So my leg was never the same. My back definitely has never been the same. But at the same time, I'm still really lucky to be as healthy as I am at my age. But I think that has a lot to do with, I was really into martial arts at the time, so my flexibility was good. I was already in good shape, and I was very relaxed when everything went down. Like, I didn't freak out, and that makes a huge difference in accidents. You tense up,
Yeah, they say drunk people that get in accidents like get less hurt because they're like
true. Yep.
They can like flail around or whatever.
Very drink up, everybody.
Yeah. Drink and drive.
No,
There's your endorsement.
Don't do that.
Well, guys, thank you so much for having me. It was enlightening and very fun to chat with all you guys.
Super
lady.
Awesome. Thanks, dude.
Thank you.
This recorded? Will this be posted anywhere? It's just live.
Yeah, it goes on YouTube. What is it? It automatically gets posted from Twitch to YouTube. I think it's 7 days, maybe more, maybe 10, something like that.
I think it'll stay it'll stay in the Twitch for. I think it's
14 days.
Yeah, 14 days, right?
Something
and then
like
after that, it'll pop onto YouTube.
Yeah, so if you want to see it soon, twitch.tv/WondervilleNYC, you'll be able to find it in there. There'll be a lot of other videos that are not related to our podcast because it's, like I said, a venue that does a lot of streams. But you'll find it, and then it eventually will hit YouTube as well. So
awesome,
thank
guys.
you so much.
Thank you. It was a pleasure. Yeah, thank you. And it's just Blair Bathory, Bathory, on every social platform.
On all social media.
Put that in the chat.
All social media. It's just my name. All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Blair's the handle on Instagram is your spooky girlfriend, which always cracks me up.
You're right. Yeah, I posted that in the Twitch chat, her social media stuff earlier. But yeah, it's great. She's very interesting. Got a lot of cool stuff.
Super
going on.
cool. That last question, was it really out of line?
No, you're fine. I was just like, okay. It's very like hard hitting reporting. You're like, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know me, I'm kind of the straightforward guy. So.
So we're here for, I don't know. Usually we call it at what, 11? Do we want to try and run any of Phasmophobia? See how utterly screwed I can be for the remainder of the evening.
I would actually love for Chris to see you, because I'll send you in on your own.
Oh Lord.
And
fantastic.
Set you from the truck, because it can be done that way with the right, with the small places and everything like that. I would really love to have him see it.
With a fully exposed glass door over here, and yes, wonderful. Right.
I think it'll be perfect, man.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, that's
faces pressed against the glass.
So yeah, if you want, what you'll do is start up the game. I'll start it up for you. By the way, quick side, there is a new horror game that's coming out in 2022 called They Are Here.
Mm-hmm.
It's an alien abduction horror, and I really wanted to play it for Blair, because I was like, a friend of mine played it. It's a very short demo that they have out, but it's beautifully terrifying. And it's because it's first person, it's got the directional sound and the old house, and yeah, it looks absolutely terrifying. It's great.
Ugh. All right. Well, I've got. Let's see if I can pull the thing up here. I've got Phasma up right now.
All right, I'll start up a game and then give you the code. And then what you're going to want to do, Chris, is just follow his stream.
Let's see if I can do this.
Once he actually starts it. And what we can do, too, we'll have to mute ourselves in here, but we can leave the headphones on because it gets very confusing in the game.
Oh, just leave it. Leave it all rolling.
All right, so I'll send you the number for the game itself directly to you. And then you just join using that number. There you go.
So we're calling this Phasma Capture Any Full Screen Application. Bang, bang. Okay.
I thought it was such. I was like hoping that would be the perfect segue when she said spirit box. I was like, well, spirit box. Let's segue straight into phasmophobia.
Right.
I gotta
Guys,
resize
sorry,
my
I
screen
left
a
for
little
the for the last 5 minutes because I suddenly got a phone call that broke into all of this.
Totally fine.
No worries.
Yeah.
So Blair said goodnight, and right now what we're doing, Amanda, is trying to connect Phasmophobia, the video game, with Mike and Clayton. You guys are
scared.
I'm a target if you do.
Okay.
Are you moving? You're not moving.
No, I'm not. I'm trying to. I'm getting everyone set up. So we should, at this point, everyone who's on Twitch should be able to hear me and Mike at this point.
We'll find out shortly.
Oh, there we go. There's a little bit of double there. So maybe we'll...
There's double from me because I'm in both for you, but not for the Twitch stream.
Well, so if you will mute yourself in Discord, then the Twitch stream will only...
I don't think the Twitch audio...
Yeah, it'll come through.
Right, but I don't... All right.
Okay.
Muted. How's that? Is that better?
Yes. That is now filtering through directly to Twitch. And Chris, you can please confirm that.
Yes, can you hear me in Twitch?
I am, right now, I'm only monitoring Discord, so I will switch to monitoring Twitch.
Ah.
Give me 1 moment.
Un momento.
Take your time.
I'm only going to pee a little bit in the meantime.
Okay, so come over to the whiteboard and take a look at the name. Like I said, don't say it out loud.
How do I pick up?
The things you actually need to pick up are your first things. You won't need those yet. So to drop them, just hit G. Yep. And don't worry, I'll pick them up as needed. Rotate your mouse wheel to get to the next one you picked up. Yep.
Right.
There you go.
I'm not sure, but I couldn't hear anything coming from Twitch.
No?
Nothing at all?
Maybe it's just, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, all I have to do is unmute it, right? On the video screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
And the volume was already up. I just didn't hear anything.
What about...
No sound at all?
Now? You may have had a 20-second delay. I got a 20-second delay up, and it may have had some issues. I forgot to add an audio source. That'll happen.
While you're waiting, click on one of the things on the wall behind you.
You got the
It's
good
a
drugs.
head camera.
Palm.
Left click on it. There you go. Now it's on your head, and I'll be able to follow you wherever you go. You're going to want one of the white things with all the colored buttons on them.
Follow. It's the gray.
That's
or
an
white?
EMF meter. That's it. Yep. One of those.
Because of my crazy Discord setup, so I could do Pro Tools and voice.
Nice.
Very complicated to do then, because I've got Discord going directly into my audio interface, which is coming into my mixer, which is going back into my final login.
Oh, damn.
My Mac. It's really complex. You helped me figure it out, though, so thanks for that.
Sure.
Nice.
So I guess what I can do is I can switch monitor to Twitch. Do that.
Okay.
Okay, so while he's doing that, the other thing you want is this black box up on the top,
Yep.
which is literally the spirit box. That's what she was talking about. And then the last thing you're going to pick up right now is one of these flashlights on the bottom shelf.
And how do I crouch? Oh, C. Okay.
C. Yep. Now, if you hold down shift while you move, it gives you a little bit more speed, but not a whole lot.
Sure.
Just enough to make you feel terrified.
Excellent. That's
Okay,
precisely
so
what I like to hear.
what we're going to do, first of all, is if you look at this map of the house, Tanglewood Street, top left corner, you come in from that left side where the little indentation is.
Yep.
So you'll go in, and I'll show you when we walk in. Actually, I'm sorry, it's on the very bottom. There's like a green there. But what we're going to do is we're going to go in, see the green thing that's in the room in the back?
Uh-huh.
That's the garage, and that's the power for the entire house. We have to turn that on first.
Excellent.
So you're going to walk through. Right now, you have a flashlight, yep. And if you rotate your mouse so that you have the EMF meter up,
Uh-huh.
mouse wheel, roll your mouse wheel. One more. There you go. Right click to turn it on. Okay. And hit your T button to turn on the flashlight that's not perfect.
Ta-da.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you get there. And I am going to grab a book, which is a spirit book. I have a video camera, and I'm going to grab a regular camera. All right, so like I said, try not to make too much noise when you get inside, but we're going to go directly straight down the hall, take a right, and then go around the corner to the right into the garage.
Oh, Lord.
So if you want, left click on that number pad there on the left.
Y'all gonna watch me die.
I have to follow you because I don't have a flashlight.
So here we're walking.
So-
we're walking and we're sprinting. Not very good.
Grab the door with your left mouse button and push. Just walk towards it.
Oh god.
Straight in. Around to the right.
What are we cooking?
Around to the right again. Right here.
That's a light switch.
Here's the garage, and see that red light right there?
Mm-hmm.
Click it.
Pong.
That turns the power on for the entire house. Now find a light switch and turn it on.
Bugger.
There you go.
Are you poking buttons?
Why would I poke buttons?
You know. 'Cause
Okay, walk
it's,
around the house
unnerving.
with that EMF meter out and open up doors and stick your face in and see if you can get that thing to go
It's a
off.
lovely portrait.
Isn't it?
Yeah. Ugh. Someone needs to eat something. Making little gross noises in my ear. What? There's a fruit fly in my room here, and it's
Aha!
for sure
I think I found the room where the ghost is.
not cool.
Would you please come back out here?
I can.
Come down the hallway here.
Where the now thing is.
Yeah,
turned on?
find the room where the
Oh bugger!
behind you.
Fucking. Yeah.
Here. Nope, it's actually here.
We got lights.
All right, so hit G, and drop that.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, hi, Smokey the Bear.
So, yeah, the reason you're smoking is because it's freezing temperatures. So that's one of the things that we'll put in. Right click to turn that box on, and drop it with G. Come to the doorway, turn off the light, and ask, "Are you near?" Turn off the light and ask out loud,
Do I have
"Are
to do
you?"
that?
Yep. Yeah, you do. And I have to go back outside, so.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, thanks.
Hey.
Don't worry, I'll be with you on microphone.
All right, Ghosty, are you here? I'm just here with these neatly folded pants.
Ask if they're a man or a woman or an adult or a child.
Are you the child who folded these neatly folded pants and didn't make your bed
You need
very
to
well?
be specific because it's Microsoft Word, so
Oh,
are you an
all right.
adult? Are you a child?
Are you an adult
a
or are you a
man?
child? Are you a man or a woman? Did you open these effing closet doors?
Look up and to the left a little bit. Up. Try right a little bit.
Yeah.
No, right. Okay, stop moving for just a second. I'm looking to see if I see ghost orbs.
Okay.
Okay, so why don't you come back outside for a second and come right back to the truck.
Uh-huh. I can hear people walking around in here. Ugh. I'm just gonna say this, dude bro that I am currently walking around as absolutely needs to work on their cardio.
I know, right? So, here's the thing that happened so far. Remember that big, what do you call it? A gasp? It hissed at you, I think.
Yeah.
So the hiss took care of that ghost event. We have taken care of the ghost event. Now, hit your J key. It'll bring up a journal.
Uh-huh.
And hit the double arrow at the bottom right. You'll see there's a list of evidence.
Okay.
Now, the first thing on the first evidence that we found was that there were freezing temperatures. So hit the arrow until you see freezing temperatures there, and then leave it.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to put up a camera in that room because I've got one right here. Let's take a look at our sanity first of all. Okay, look at that.
Sucks.
Right, and the reason that it does, and that's one of the reasons why the ghost. Usually, if you're in the dark for a long period of time, the ghost box the sound of the ghost box will bring your sanity down. Seeing the ghost events brings your sanity down. Also, if we ever find a Ouija board and use it, that eats your sanity very quickly, unless it's a demon. I'm betting this is actually a demon because it's very aggressive right off the bat, and that's one of the traits of a demon.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so you've put down the box, so you still have the flashlight, and that's it. So the next thing you want to pick up is the tiny flashlight directly behind you.
Look at that. We got activity.
What? Oh, yeah. And we can put motion sensors in the house and stuff and find where the ghost directly is. It's probably pretty angry because we're talking about it a lot.
Well, fuck you,
all right,
ghost.
so yeah, see the tiny flashlight behind you, the little one in the middle.
The little one in the middle.
That's a UV flashlight. What we're going to do is search, pick it up with your E. There you go. We're going to search for fingerprints. What you're going to do is turn that on, and when you go in there, you'll shine it at the door that moved and at the light switches, and they'll glow if they were those, and that'll be something else you can put in there.
Definitely not the neatly folded pants.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not a thing at all. Okay, so I will help you out here. I will pick up... Oh, wait, before you go.
I don't want to... Yep.
Pick up one of the pill things, because if our average is below 60%, it'll hunt us.
Oh, good.
But we only get to do this one time, 2 times each. So eat yours by right-clicking. There you go. Okay, now you've picked that up. Also pick up the motion sensor again. The black one. It's right there. Yep, pick that up. There you go. Now switch back to the UV flashlight.
What the shit was that?
What?
Like it was all light, it lit up out here.
It was lightning in general. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to go back into that room. You're going to look at the door with that flashlight. Yep, that one. I'm going to set up this camera now.
So, nothing...
Look at all the doors.
There's some freezing temperatures again.
Yeah. Look at both sides of this door. Shine it directly at the center.
Did. Nothing there.
Okay, so you're not seeing anything there, so that's probably not, and you could just drop that flashlight if you want with G.
Oh, bugger.
There you go, and turn on your other flashlight with T. Okay, now put that motion sensor, go to the wall, let's put it right here.
Drop that bad boy.
Right next to the closet. Hit F when you see it appear on the wall. Hit F.
Got it.
Okay, now come back out to the truck.
Just leaving all my loitering stuff
Okay,
out here.
so you didn't get hunted last time we played this, correct?
I got murdered. I got just straight murked.
Right, okay, so you did get the hunted. So when that happens, your best bet, first of all, is to not make a sound. Find a closet or a room, close the door behind you, crouch down, and don't make any noise. If it comes to you, there's nothing you can do. But usually if you don't make any noise, it won't target you if he didn't see you right away. All right, so take a look at the monitor here. This is the camera I set up in there.
Mm-hmm.
See the, oh, look, did you see that?
Yeah. No,
Okay, that was the ghost, and then the closet door moved just a little bit. And then if you watch for just a second, at the very top of the monitor, you'll see these little, they look like puffballs.
Yeah.
It's going to be rare, but okay, so that means that there's ghost
there we go.
orbs. So go back to your journal. Yep, go to your journal and put in ghost orbs as the second evidence.
Okay.
And then I think the last thing is probably going to be, since it wasn't fingerprints, there's a couple other things it can be. One of them is going to be ghost writing, which there's a book on the floor, and we'll go take a look. Actually, I'll have you go take a look at that and see if there is and I'll make a sweep for what's called the bone. Did I introduce you to that last time?
No.
In every house, at some point, there is a single bone somewhere. It's usually on the floor. Very rarely it's on like a counter or a shelf. If you take a picture of that bone and then pick it up, and it doesn't take a slot space or anything, but if you pick it up, there's already a book in there, so you don't have to worry, but you can drop that book.
Oh, okay.
What you're gonna want, I'm gonna say actually pick up a camera, one of these gray cameras here. And to use that camera, by the way, be careful because it's only got 5 pictures, but you right click to take the picture.
Okay.
And there's a delay before you can take another one, like it's winding. So if the ghost does appear to you, before you get hunted, it'll probably appear for maybe 5 seconds, so you'll have to take the shot as quickly as you can.
Okay.
But if it's hunting you, it's going to flicker in and out of reality, so that's going to be really hard. Plus, you're, of course, running for your life. All right, so go back in. If, first of all, there's salt on the floor, if there's footprints in the salt, take a picture of that. If there's writing in the book, take a picture of that. And then you can come back out again. The book is on the floor next to the bed. You'll see it when you go in now that you have a flashlight. And actually, I need to grab a flashlight while I'm at it, because I don't have one. You can go in and check those.
Uh-huh.
The bone.
Is that a bone?
I will look for one.
I don't know what the hell that is. There's some...
Where?
There's salt or...
That's salt. So that's got with footprints in it. So take a picture of that.
Okay.
There you go. Now, does the book have any writing in it?
It's upside down. I can't see.
Pick it up and put it back down with using the letter F. Like crouch and put it down. You probably have to dump something to pick. Wait, where's the book?
I just picked it up.
Okay. Oh, it does have writing in it. Yep, bring it over here. Bring it over here.
Oh,
that was painful. Put it on the floor. Hit F. And then take a picture of it. All right, I gotta look for that.
I'm leaving. Getting the hell out of there. Made a very nice composition there in the camera.
Are you back in the truck, sir?
I am in fact back in the truck.
Can you check my sanity for me, please?
Your sanity is 65.
Thank you. What is our total sanity?
63.
Okay, I gotta get out of here. I'm gonna get hunted.
You gonna get it?
And since I provided all of the equipment, if I die, I lose it all.
That's not good. Get out of there.
Yeah, it's just kind of how the game works.
I do, however, have... I can now add in... ghostwriting.
So once you add in ghostwriting, you should be able to click the bottom one and it'll tell you what kind of ghost it is.
It's a Yuri.
Yurei. Now go back in the journal and look up what a Yurei does or what it's about.
It's not a yokai. It's a ghost that is returned to the physical world, usually for the purpose of revenge or hatred. Unique strengths. Has been known to have a stronger effect on people's sanity. Weaknesses. Smudging the Yurei's room will cause it to not wander around the location for a long time. Okay. So I guess we smudge things?
You can if you want, and I'll show you how that's done. But that means that we're going to get hunted in a little bit. But I don't think we're coming up on time as far as like it's almost 11 for you guys. So we're probably not going to be able to finish this entire round.
Yep.
But
Jeez, your eyes are
if
wide.
you...
Look at that.
right? Not the greatest models for this, but they do work.
Maybe it's all the pills we're popping.
Yeah, that's what it is.
pills.
But yeah, if you actually want to check it out, go back in. Do you have two? You can put the camera down, and then you'll have two spaces, right? You're not carrying anything else.
I got a flashlight.
Okay, so if you don't have, if you have that, then grab one of those big doobie-looking things, the white ones.
Doobie-looking things. Let's grab some doobies.
Okay, and then on the bottom shelf, see the little lighter?
Yep.
Grab that.
Got
Okay,
it.
rotate to it. Rotate to the lighter, light it, and then rotate back to the doobie. Okay, so don't do this now because it only lasts for a short period of time. But as soon as you walk past the threshold of the door, hit F, it'll light that. Walk into the room where the ghost is, throw it down on the floor, and leave.
Okay.
And then come back up. And that's smudging.
I'm gonna get it, guys. I can hear it. Oh, damn it. It won't. Dude, it doesn't light. Oh, fuck. Ah! Need to push an F. Open.
Throw it on the floor with G.
F. G.
There you go. Now it's been smudged. I don't think we're gonna get anything else done, but at least you survived this one. And you figured out what kind of ghost it was.
Yay!
But with a full crew and more of knowing what you're doing, you'll get a lot more enjoyment out of it, and also, you know, seeing a ghost and hearing that wonderful scream.
See, but on a
also-
positive side, I'm not utterly terrified to walk out of my office now. So there's that.
It's good. Yeah, no doubt.
It's an excellent point.
I should also let you know that the ghosts also make they love to make that what's the Japanese ghost sound? You know, that one with the really throaty yeah. There's one that makes that sound.
Yeah.
Right behind you.
Great.
All right. So, if you go and hit that number pad, that closes the doors and we'll finish this investigation and then we're done.
Another time.
Trust me, we get a full crew in here. It's way more fun with a lot of people.
About to lose a finger in that door. The game is loading.
Welcome back. There's some jobs
There you go.
for you.
Well, that's cool. I'm gonna switch back to
Yeah, I'm gonna get out of the game.
the Ting. Ta-da! We're back in here. Well, that was cool. And again, I'm not terrified now, which is great.
Welcome back. I've got some jobs ready for you.
I need to quit out of the game. Here we go. Back at it. Chris, can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can.
There we go. But yeah, that first ghost, man, the first time, especially with that hiss, definitely it made your heart rate jumps, doesn't it?
I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Did you hear that? Did you hear the hiss, Chris?
Of course I heard the hiss.
Mhm.
No, I meant
I-
Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's
How did that look, by the way, Chris, from your side? On Twitch, was that able to stream all the way through, apart from the beginning where I forgot to add the audio source? That's what happens when I build things in the
it
middle.
looked and sounded fine. I could hear you. You couldn't hear me the time I was trying to talk to you.
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
I
no.
was streaming Twitch as
Yeah.
well. But so there's no real way to do.
well, not from your standpoint, but you know, usually if you've got this going and you hook it up so that you can actually talk here, we can hear you here.
That said, I will bet money. I'll bet money I can change the scene around, add some other audio sources, and not only will we be able to see what's going on in the game, but we can also see each individual who is playing as well.
Oh yeah, no, that'll be perfect. And then you can, if you do that, and we finally, you know, where you get comfortable and you know what's going on, then you can start joking around.
I'm never gonna be comfortable, Mike. I'm not a
Oh, you
comfortable
will.
person.
Trust me. Did you happen to see my level in that game?
I did not.
It's
You have
like
levels?
472.
Good Lord.
I know, right? Well, when it first came out, we played like nonstop for hours, just place after place. And that little house that
Because
you
you're a
were in,
masochist?
yeah, well, there was that you just for me. All right, I have to say this now that it's not. Are we still streaming?
Yes, we're still
We're
streaming.
still streaming.
The Twitch universe, I think we call it. Yeah.
Okay.
Chris, you want to say
Wonderful
anything before we take off?
Oh, are we signing off? Yeah, no, just thanks Blair Bathory and thanks you guys for the terrifying
Entertainment.
walkthrough. Let's play demo.
What's the next guest? Next guest is it's already scheduled.
It's Steve Horowitz, I think, next week. Who's he's a composer. He's a game sound designer.
I know that guy. I know that name.
Do you know Steve? You might.
I know that name.
I know Bonnie Bogovich knows him.
That would make sense, actually.
He's at every game developers conference. I know that. He is now running a game audio, like basically an online school game audio, and we will have him. And he did the music for Super Size Me, if you remember that film.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Morgan used to come in. Morgan, what's his name? Oh my God.
Did you say Bogovich?
Spurlock? Morgan Spurlock.
Spurlock, thank you. Morgan Spurlock. He used to come into my studio back when Steve was working in the next room, and we did some stuff, all three of us together. Pretty cool. But yeah, no, Bonnie Bogovich knows Steve, I was saying, Mike.
It's Stephen Bogovich, right?
No, it's Stephen Horowitz.
Horowitz, that's what it was.
Bonnie Bogovich, Steve Horowitz.
Right. Wow, too many of the... I don't even know what nationality that name is.
Horowitz? It's probably
Jewish?
Russian. Jewish, yeah. Russian Jew.
Mauskowitz.
Yeah.
Somewhere out there.
Jesus.
Enjoy that, Fievel. Which is not spelled at all how I thought it was spelled.
I know.
I know, right?
Fuck you, Moth. Fuck you very much. Asshole.
Oh, he's from Brooklyn, huh?
Right.
The Moth or Steve?
Steve.
No, Steve is, well, he lived, I think he's originally from California. He lives in San Francisco now. And I think he's originally from out, I believe. And he moved here for a short time working for Nickelodeon. We met.
Nickelodeon.
Actually, we met at Harvest, an audio art and video art, media art organization.
Yeah, now you're backing away from your mic.
Me? No.
Yeah.
I'm still right on it.
Okay.
I haven't moved.
Maybe you got tired.
I'm just kidding.
I understand.
But yeah, we'll talk to Steve next week. So
that sounds
thank
great.
You guys.
Badass.
And I guess we can stay on, but can stream maybe.
Yeah, stream.
Kill it down.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
man.
much. Have an excellent evening.